Hello and thank you for joining me. This is Sierra from Sierra 2 Designs, and let's jump into week 4 of my 12 weeks of Christmas. So to start, I do have a piece of Simon Says Stamp Schoolhouse Red cardstock here, and I'm just going to do some oxide blending with it. I have Fired Brick as my Distress Oxide color, and once I've gone around the panel, I'm going to bring in some black soot just to kind of darken up the outside. Now you can see here that Fired Brick isn't greatly different than the red of the Schoolhouse Red cardstock, but it did add a little bit of depth before going into the black soot of the Oxide inks. So that's kind of why I did it. It's not a huge change in color, but it did add some depth and dimension to the card there. And this is a pretty simple card. You could absolutely redo this in multiple colors. I only did 2. But you could do so many if you wanted to do so many different colors of cardstock. And I did choose to use a piece of colored cardstock instead of doing ink blending. You could do it either way. I just sometimes try to use up some of my colored cardstock, and it's super rare for me to actually use it, so I kind of try to use it. I generally just make my own backgrounds, but sometimes it is easier for sure to just use a colored cardstock. So that's kind of what I've done here. And we are going to do one in red and one in green. I'm not going to show you each step on each card because they're all the same. So I'm just going to kind of show you one card, and I've done the exact same things on the other card, the green card. So I did cut this down to be 1/8 of an inch smaller than an A2 sized base. Oh, sorry, no, I'm going to add a black mat. Haha, because I do black mats for everything. So I am going to cut this down to be, I am going to show you both. I lied, I'm sorry. I'm going to show you, the reason I'm going to show you this one is because these two colors are vastly different. This is Pine Needles Distress Oxide. And you can see here, there's quite a difference in these two colors, whereas my red, it wasn't quite as noticeable. Again, you could blend this and it would be a bit of a smoother transition than what I have based on the colored cardstock going into the pine needles, but I kind of like how it looks. I kind of like the more dramatic change in colors there because you have such a light center and then kind of a dark outside, especially once I add the black soot to this blend. But yeah, I cut this down to be 1/8 of an inch smaller than my black mat, and my black mat is 1/8 of an inch smaller than my A2 sized card base. And that's kind of, I like to black mat everything, especially when you add oxides to the outside like this, because when I go back in and blend it with pine needles, it's going to dull that black down a bit. So when you add in the black mat, it kind of brings up that the drama of the color a bit more. So that's kind of why I do a black mat anyway, I mean pretty much on everything, but I find that if you add a black mat, you'll see when we get to the end here and we glue everything down, but I find that the black mat really kind of brings up the drama of the color change a bit more. And I like it, I don't know, it's just my thing. So we are going to blend this out, and there's no perfect blend for this just because the center color is just cardstock. I can't go in and blend it out to be a little more subtle. I don't think it's super noticeable, especially when you get to the end and we've stamped on top, but you have to let me know what you guys think. So then here I'm just going to put them into my Misti. And I have a couple of stamp sets on the side there. I have, this is the Simon Says Stamp Comfort and Joy stamp set, and I have a Sentiment, and I have a Big Snowflake. And I'm stamping those down in Delicata gold ink. I think it's, Delicata Golden Glitz. It's Golden Glitz ink. And you can't really see it here. I will hold it up for you so you can see it a little bit better. But I did double stamp it, and this is why I'm using the Misti, because I was a bit concerned that I wouldn't get a good impression. And this gold ink is a bit, I'm new with this ink, so I was a little concerned that I wouldn't get a good impression. Sorry about my head there. I was a little concerned I wouldn't get a good impression, so I think the Misti kind of helps you with that anytime that you're concerned, especially since I didn't want to ruin the blending that I'd already done. But this ink is stunning. So here I'm going to hold it up for you and tip it in the light so you can kind of get a better view of it in different angles. But yeah, I did that stamping on both the red and the green, the exact same stamps. And then here I have the card bases, and I just took a different snowflake from the same stamp and a different sentiment. And I'm just stamping them on the inside of my A2 sized card bases in the pine needles and fired brick Distress Oxides that I used, and then that just kind of finished off the inside. Because it's a bit of a simpler card, I wanted a little bit of pizzazz in my card base. And this is one of the reasons that I'm loving this mini Misti. Sorry, it's not the mini Misti, it's the newer Misti, but I have only had the mini Misti for a long time, and of course my card bases wouldn't have fit in there. So I've been kind of loving being able to stick the whole card base in the Misti there. So here we go. I am going to glue down, and you can see I have the base open on the bottom there just to make sure that I actually stick it on properly. I have put them on upside down before. I don't think it would really matter if you put the red snowflake in the green card or vice versa. I did keep it with the red and the red and the green and the green, but you could do it the opposite way if you'd liked. And then I'm going to glue it down to my black mat, and then of course I'm going to glue that down to my A2 card base. And that's kind of like, they're pretty simple cards, guys. You could absolutely mass produce these, especially since you kind of could line it up and just do every step consistently, especially with the Misti. You could also do this with a stamping block if you wanted to try. I don't think that there'd be any problem with that as long as you're a pretty steady stamper. I find that I make more mistakes with my acrylic blocks, so the Misti is amazing, but you wouldn't have to use a Misti for this. They're pretty simple cards. And then I am also going to stick down a gem. I lost the footage for it, so you're not going to get to see it. But it's just one crystal. I used Studio Katia's crystals, and I just took the biggest size in there, the clear crystals. Took the biggest size of gem out of that and stuck it in the middle of my snowflake. And you'll be able to see it here once we glue everything down, and I'll hold them up and show them to you at the end so you can see all that shimmer and shine. You could have added more to this. I did consider adding some splashes of gold along it as well, but I was kind of going for a bit of a more simplistic card. Not simple necessarily, a little bit more subtle is maybe a better word for it. So I didn't really try to add a whole bunch of... Oh, and this is my last video with this glue. Oh guys, this stupid glue. This is the last one with it though. I'm on to my new bottle now, and I don't have any more pre-recorded Christmas videos, so we're gonna go into ones that I'm recording right now, but you won't have to see that silly glue anymore. But yeah, so I'm going to hold them up for you here in one sec with the crystals in the center of the snowflake. You can kind of see all that shimmer and shine. So I'd love to know what you guys think. What do you think of this more traditional color palette? I love how it turned out with just the gold. I think the subtlety of these cards is quite stunning, but I'd love to know what you guys think. So that is the card I have for you this week. I cannot wait to see you guys again as we do the rest of the 12 days of Christmas and anything else that comes up in between. Like, subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and leave me a comment, leave me a like, and I'll see you guys again soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.